right, everybody, we are back for part 2. Here is the rest of our conversation with Matt and Cortni from Idawild Brewing.
How did you come up with some of the recipes for your beers?
Honestly, we just talk about what beers we would like to try ourselves.
Okay.
That's honestly what all of our recipes have been, is just, man, I would like a beer like this. Well, let's try it. Let's make it. We've just made beers that we want to drink. And honestly, that's like we told you earlier, like we don't buy that many beers. We just put our beers on tap and we drink them at home. So all of our beers are just beers that we wanted to drink.
So you said you had 25 beers.
We've got probably about 25 recipes that we could showcase.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
I don't even know if I've had 25 brewing sessions.
I don't think I have, no.
And I've been doing it for years. At first, when I started home brewing, the very first one I did was I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't read the book all the way through. I just got so excited. I'm like, ooh, let's do it. And I go out and buy all the shit, and I bring home, and I'm starting
your kitchen one, right?
Yeah, the kitchen one.
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't know what I was doing. It ended up like half-ass brewing a bag thing, and it was just a big bag that it was like a big tea bag.
Right.
Exactly.
I was sticking in the kettle, and my wife is helping me, and I'm pulling it up, and it's all dripping out and everything, and it was just chaos. And I think that's the same one that I tried to lager. I got my mother-in-law's old fridge.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, I can.
So you're like, oh, this is a cool lager chamber I can use.
Yeah, it doesn't. Her fridge didn't get it to a certain temperature. It was one of those old dial things, and it was just, I didn't know what I was doing. It was a drinkable ale. I'll say that.
Okay. But I think that's always where you go wrong. You never temperature control your fermentation.
Yes.
Because that's what I did. I actually bought the temperature control, and I had a chest freezer and a salmon freezer that I converted. So
temperature control on your fermentation is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, been telling you that for years, bro.
My closet is good.
Okay.
So you can go two different ways. You can go with like creating a chamber, and then having like one of those ink birds or any other company like that has a temperature controller that'll kick the refrigerator or chest freezer or whatever you have on and off.
Yeah.
And then you can even there's multiple companies that make like wrap heaters that you can put
I had
on
both.
it. Perfect. So
I had a wrap
either.
heater on one side, and then I had the freezer on the other side. Yeah.
So the way I did because now I'll actually have jacketed, like glycol connected units, and since they're jacketed and since they're double walled, you don't have to worry too much about heat. You don't have to heat it up because the fermentation is going to be heating up the product. Right. It's more about with that much product, like when you're now talking 5 barrels of product, the temperature loss is minimal. It's more about not letting it heat up due to the fermentation. So that's where the glycol jacket comes in, and it keeps it at a perfect temperature. When you're talking 5 gallons in a single wall tank, you now have a little, like around the cone, you'll have a little heater jacket, and then you have an actual coil that runs into the beer, and you can run glycol or you can run cold water through that coil. And you have a temperature controller that'll kick on, and you can set all the different dimensions for the temperature controller. So you can keep it at a certain temperature. But it's huge, because that's what's going to release, if you want a lot of the esters to come out from that yeast strain or not, you're either going to stress the yeast or you're not, or you're going to put it at a higher temperature so it really kind of gets like a really vigorous fermentation. Or if you don't want a lot of the esters to come through and you want it to just be kind of clean, you can ferment it more around like 66 to 68, or if you're like, hey, I want a ton of these, like I'm using like a London Ale 3 or I'm using like an SO4, I want a lot of those like fruity esters to come through. You can kick it up to like 70 or 72 degrees at the end of fermentation and try to get some of those esters to come through. So that's where you can play around with how your beer tastes based on your temperature control. That's
So
why
when
the
I-
temperature control is so
When I put
so
mine
important.
in the closet, sometimes I put a jacket around it. Probably not the same.
Like a
kind of
North
jacket.
Face.
Yeah, little
Not-
North Face jacket.
Not the same kind of jacket.
Nice little
but
zip
okay.
up vest sometimes when it's not so
Yeah.
chilly.
You put like a beanie on it too.
Yeah.
Just to make
Sometimes
sure?
a beanie.
Okay.
Just put an ice
that
tray
might
in
work.
the closet with
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I'm so hillbilly. The more we're talking, the more I'm finding out that I'm just backwoods. I might as well
There's-
make a moonshine or something.
And that's how I would be too. That's why I don't do the brewing.
Yeah.
I don't have quite that.
Hey,
attention to
moonshine's
detail.
fun too.
Yeah.
But you're so it sounded to me like you're all into the science. I mean, you got the science thing down. You know what to
Kind
look
of.
for, what not to look for, all this kind of stuff.
You can go even deeper into it than I have. You can. There's
Oh, yeah, for
levels.
sure.
There's levels to this. You can go super deep.
No, I'm not deep.
That's why I went in with the temperature control on the fermentation, because I was like, if I'm gonna do it, I want it to taste good. You know.
Well, at the time, mine tastes good too, but
Well, but you've had some that are really good, and you've had some that just aren't good. And I've always said it's your temperature control.
So if we're all being honest here, ever since we moved into this house, it just kind of actually also coincides when I also got a kegel. A friend of mine
Okay.
gave me a keg. I
Converted
top
it.
off.
And, yeah.
put spout on there and everything. And every batch I've done after that hasn't turned out very good. And I was thinking, well, maybe I'm just heating it up too fast, too hot, that kind of thing. And that's why it isn't turning out. I
Do
tried.
you use like a propane burner?
Yeah. Well, I still have my very first one that I've ever bought, and it was actually a turkey fryer.
Turkey fryer.
Oh,
So, yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm super high class. So I still have that, and I actually kind of ground down a little bit of the side so that keg will fit right on top.
Nice.
So pretty.
Nice.
Customized it.
Yeah. Yeah, I went in with a 2-burner Camp Chef stove.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Problem is, once you go electric, you'd never go back to propane.
Yeah.
Because then you can brew inside. The
Good
problem is you
point.
have to have
Yeah.
ventilation. But we've been brewing year round, so it's I don't want to go in the garage and open the door if it's in the winter.
Right.
Brew inside. I just
Then
have
it
a
heats up the whole house, which is nice too. I can turn
Yeah.
the heater
Yeah.
off. The whole house.
Oh, yeah, our
like
house
72
would just-
degrees.
That's where we get in trouble when we brew in the garage. So,
Right.
Yeah. We turn into our alter egos. Our nicknames. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know if I want to go there.
Well, they can listen to the previous podcast to go
Yeah.
into it. So,
So when we do our home brewing, usually what we do is we just overindulge. I mean, there's a lot of time.
Of course.
There's a lot of time.
Hours.
Tons
So
of time.
we're drinking the whole time.
It's a lot
Yeah,
of
what
hurry
else?
up, and the brewing process is a ton of hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and
Yeah.
wait.
There's a lot of waiting time where you can drink if you want.
Right. And we tend to. And then I wake up the next morning like, oh shit.
How
Did I
did
put in those hops? I can't remember if I put in those last hops. Did I hit temperature? What was the
I don't know.
what did the hydrometer say? I have
Yeah.
no idea. What am I doing? Oh yeah. It's a lot of times it's just a shit show.
We start out with good intentions. We have the checklist. We're
Yeah.
going through it. And we're like, oh, wait. Beers are flowing.
Right.
Screw that checklist. I don't need that anymore.
yeah.
Anyway.
I guess the difference is we were brewing with the thought of these need to be professional brews that people are gonna actually taste.
That
I
makes
think
sense.
we
But
were-
if I was just brewing with the fact I was like, I'm just never gonna be a professional, we'd probably do the same thing.
we did. We were brewing, and we were just more concentrated on
Creativity.
drinking
Yeah.
Yeah.
while brewing. And
Yeah,
if
you were
it turns out
drinking with a side of brewing.
Yeah.
right.
So, like, sours, what is it about the sours that you love so much?
Probably their versatility.
And I think just the amount of like flavor combinations. I mean,
Exactly.
you can do a lot of stuff with IPAs too. I think
yes.
people just don't do enough with other beers, and to where with sours it's so easy to experiment, I think, because the style kind of lends to
Yes.
experimenting with different fruits and stuff, because how often do you have, or do you even see a sour that's just like, this is
just a
sour
base golden kettle sour.
Rarely are you seeing that. It's there's more elements to it, and so I think
Usually
it's just,
kettle sours are fruited or flavored in some way, so it allows your imagination to run wild with.
and I think that's kind of where I come in, is because I'm super into like flavors and cooking, and I'm like, what kind of things can we do with this? And so it's just fun in that way, I think, just because you can be more creative with it. But I just think maybe other people, like, you can be more creative with other styles of beer. It just, you don't see it as often.
No.
And so I think that's what we also like about hazy IPAs too, is because
You can be pretty creative with it.
with the different kind of hops and stuff. Something about a hazy, he could probably tell you what scientifically about it, but I think it just really goes well with adding other flavors to it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, because I mean, basically, it's not exactly the same, but the base recipe for like a hazy IPA and my base golden kettle sour IPA are fairly similar. They're not exactly the same, but they're fairly similar. And the difference between a West Coast IPA and an East Coast IPA is the East Coast IPA is going to have some more kind of wheat malts, and it's going to give it that protein haze, and it's going to basically kind of almost make it round out a little bit and not be so like harsh. And you're not adding the hops so early, so you're not getting any of the bittering of the hops. You're getting all just of the oil extraction of the flavor and the aroma. So you can play it like you're basically just, it's like a blank slate that you can just add all this flavor and aroma. And if you want, you can add fruit, or you can add different types of hops. You can add all sorts of things. You can add spices. Like we did what was the apple pie hazy?
Is that a milkshake?
We did a spiced apple milkshake hazy
we only
IPA.
recently started like keeping track of everything through our Instagram. But I mean, I think we just started that in late 2020. But before that, we were doing so much cool stuff.
We did like
really
an
wish we
apple
had
pie. Like I've done a huckleberry apple pie and an apple pie
spiced hazy.
hazy IPA.
That turned out really well.
And they were really good. Like I was like, man, I don't know if spicing a hazy is gonna turn out good, but it did. It rounded it out really well. So we did those around like Thanksgiving to Christmas time, and it was basically like huckleberry. Oh yeah, we did a huckleberry apple pie,
Yes, we did. That's
and it was
right.
really good.
Yeah.
Interesting. What about pumpkin spice?
We did a
What was
pumpkin
the-
ale this year.
Okay.
Yes, we did
Then
a
we
pumpkin
did a
ale.
pumpkin spice stout. That was a little bit more light.
Okay.
Yeah, we did pumpkin spice bells,
But-
but the pumpkin ale we made was really good.
Yeah, and I love it. Like, I really love any type of beer. I think there's a time and place for everything.
There's exactly, if it's the right season, if it's the right time and place, like
Sure.
we love all beer styles. It's just it has to be the right time and place.
So what's the difference brewing wise between sour and beer?
So sour and just like a traditional ale that's not soured, it's the pH.
The pH.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
it.
It's just the pH. That's the only difference.
Do you use a different yeast or anything?
No, I mean, you can use, so the souring, you use a lactobacillus. Like let's just say just kettle sours. Just kettle sours. We'll take traditional sours out of it. But kettle sours, the only difference is there's one extra step. You do the entire mash the same way. You sparge into your boil kettle the exact same way. Then you're just going to do a really quick boil to essentially kill off any yeast that came through from the grains or anything. You're basically just pasteurizing it. Then you're adding in, people use like Good Belly probiotics. People use like yogurt. People use, I like to use a specific extracted, very specific form of lactobacillus. I like plantarum the most. Lactobacillus plantarum. I think it works the fastest and it's the cleanest. So you would add that in. Then you make sure you purge all the headspace of oxygen because you don't want there to be any oxygen for it. So you would have CO2 because oxygen can aid in the wrong type of souring process that can kind of start to lead you towards that like stomach acidy kind of flavor. So you want to seal the kettle And then essentially, if you use the right type of lactobacillus, it could be soured in 24 hours. But you essentially would check pH. So when you get down, like a normal beer, when it's finished, is around like 4.2 to 4.5 or so. A sour beer is under 4. It's about 3.7 to 3. 3 would be crazy. It's like 3.7 to 3.2. Anywhere in that pH range is a sour beer, essentially.
Okay.
So when you get down into, I like my not crazy sours, I finished at about 3.5. My crazy sours, I finished closer to 3.2.
What would you say the carrot was?
The carrot, I think that was about like 3.4 when I boiled it. Yeah. So when you want to finish it, you basically, that's when you start your boil process, just like a normal brewing process. There's just that intermediate step of doing a quick boil to pasteurize, adding your lactobacillus, purging the headspace with CO2, locking it all up, checking pH, coming back 24 hours later, checking pH. You might have to wait another 12 or 24 hours. When you get the pH that you want, then you just start your boil process, and that'll kill off that lactobacillus. And then you basically have a normal beer that's at a lower pH. So you can go into your normal fermenters. You don't have to worry about contamination because the lactobacillus is killed. The thing about traditional sours is you can cross-contaminate. So you have to have all different hoses. You have to have all different containers. Everything has to be for traditional sours, or your clean beers are going to get contaminated.
Gotcha.
So kettle sours are an easy way to tie in sours. Some people don't think they're as complex, but and they aren't in a certain way. But you can still make a really good sour beer with the kettle sour process.
Yeah, you just add the flavor, right? So you like the carrot.
Exactly.
Coconut. Yeah.
Yes. But there's a...
It's just traditionalists versus...
Exactly. But there is something to a traditional sour. It has a slightly different complexity from the barrel aging process, from just the amount of time it takes for that. The difference with a barrel, or like if you're doing a traditional sour, is you're not killing off of the lactobacillus or Brettanomyces or whatever you're adding to it. It's all still living in that beer as you're drinking it even. So there is an argument that is like, it's almost like a probiotic if you're drinking like a traditional sour.
Right.
So it's healthy. That's what I'm hearing.
Could be healthy.
Yeah, it's healthy.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Biome.
It's good for you.
It's like drinking a smoothie.
It's just, you just have to be you have to be really deliberate with what you're doing, because you don't want to contaminate your entire brewery with those strains of bacteria.
You two go out. You go out to dinner, or you go out for a couple beers, or in this case, sours. Who makes the best sour? Other than you guys. Sorry.
I would say Barbarian.
Yeah, I would say Barbarian Brewing.
And they have a whole array
They do.
of sours,
Yeah.
I would say.
They're really, like, what you guys were talking about at the beginning of the podcast, the Cry of the Blackbirds, that's one of our favorite sours.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's
You've had it?
really fucking good.
Oh, shit. I've never had it.
It's
Yeah, it's
one of our
great.
favorites.
It's wonderful.
Wow.
They've made it year after year now for a while. They always bring it back. It's one of their best.
It's really great.
So basically what James does is, it's not for all of his sours, but for some of them he does the spontaneous fermentation. He uses something called the cool ship. So you basically make the wort. You put it into this thing that's basically just a shallow bottomed, big open container.
Huge, right? Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen
you
a picture
put it
of
right in by the garage door. You open up that garage door, and it seemed like around October is about the perfect temperature to do this at. And you let all the wild yeast in the air collect onto that wort. Then he would take that product and put it into barrels, let it ferment, and then he would put it into mixing tanks, and he can turn that product into all sorts of different beers. And the Cry of the Blackbird is one of those beers that he would make that spontaneously fermented, soured
It's a super
product
good one.
into. And yeah, he's the best at it. Like, they're awesome. That's their niche. They're amazing. Those spontaneous
I do like
fermented
the
beers.
hazes, though.
I gotta broaden my horizons a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm got the blinders on, and I know what I like, and that's all I need. But I think after talking to you guys, it's like we tried the coconut carrot, and that's like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe there's something else out there
Yeah. It's
that
just
I should try.
everyone's got their own thing, and
Yeah.
kind of trial and error.
Exactly.
Let's talk about pandemic. Did that put a kink in your plans at all? I mean, have you guys planned on this for like the last 3 years and you couldn't do anything because of that?
Couple of years, but like honestly, it turned into real plans. When was that?
I think it was late 2020. Was it early 2021? I think it was early 2021.
Was it?
So we've been dreaming about it since Baby's First Brew Kit, you know, because we both loved it. I mean, we've both loved beer ever since we've been together, like craft beer, kind of what brought us together a little bit. But, you know, we were going to college for different things. Like he went for exercise science, I went for criminal justice. So we just kind of started on those career paths. And we both enjoy our jobs. But it just kind of turned into like, this is something we really enjoy, and this is something that other people are doing as a career. Why can't we? And so that's kind of how we came into it. And so I really think we'd been planning on it for years, pre-pandemic, mid-pandemic, the whole thing. There was never really a plan in place, like this is when we're going to do it, until we actually met with Barbarian when they were getting ready to move locations.
Well, there was a little bit of the plan of I was going to start a very small, like 1-barrel brewery behind where I work right now, which is Jack City Fitness. I was going to basically attach to that. I was going to convert like 3 storage units into like a 1,200 square foot tiny little brewery as like a launching brewery. It'd be like, okay, here's our product. Like, let's see where this goes. And I was actually trying to find it. This all started because the architect we were going to use wouldn't get back to me. So I was actually looking for a new architect. And the first brewery I contacted, which was our favorite brewery, was Barbarian. And I was like, hey, do you guys have a contact for an architect who knows how to build breweries? And she was like, yes, I do. Here's my architect's contact. But also, we're trying to find a brand new brewery who wants to take over our spot.
Oh, wow.
And that's how we got into contact with Barbarian.
She's like, do you want to meet this week? And we were like,
when we basically, when we met, we were like, okay, let's meet with them. This is never actually going to happen, but let's
be courteous.
Be courteous. They asked us to talk. Like, okay, let's just go talk with them.
Were you guys like super giddy when they were like, oh yeah?
I was kind of like nervous. And we went, I was like, why do I feel like I'm going to an interview? Like,
yeah, right?
Why are my palms sweaty?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it turned into where we are now.
Yeah, it just turned into being like, it went from immediately like, there's no way we could ever do this. Let's humor them, into like, wait, we can actually do this. And this, not only can we do this, but like this makes sense.
Yes.
Like this could save us
if
money.
we're actually going to do this, this actually makes the most sense.
It was almost like, it was almost like a now or never thing. It's like jump in.
It was like make
head
the
first
jump.
or completely miss this opportunity.
It was like a perfect timing too, right?
It was perfect timing.
Just happened to happenstance.
We were the best case scenario for them, and they were the best case scenario for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
How does that happen?
It was unbelievable. It was because I don't know what I think it would have been a long time till our plans came into fruition. If that had not.
And if we opened the small 1-barrel brewery that we were planning on opening, like we would have gotten to the point very quickly where we're like, damn, we need to move this place somewhere else.
And then everything you have is obsolete almost.
Exactly.
You know?
It would have just been so much wasted. Not exactly wasted, but it pretty much would have been wasted time and money. And that's where the decision was like, well, shit, let's just jump head first.
Yeah. Well, all or nothing, right?
Which is what it feels like. It feels like just completely kind of free falling.
Yeah.
So what's your comfort level right now?
It's pretty. I mean, we literally got the keys Tuesday night.
It's up and down.
Yeah, I mean, we are a lot of money into debt. Don't get us wrong.
Oh yeah.
I think they're comfortable with the recipes. They're just
right.
It's
getting it to the public.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's like so many things. There's things you do anticipate. And then we've already figured out there's things you don't anticipate that you're just like, you know what, this is what's being thrown at us. You just take it one thing at a time. Because it feels like so many things that you have to deal with. Like there's a whole list of things we have to deal with, but it's just thinking about it one at a time.
And we're still working our full-time jobs too. So
Oh wow.
Yeah.
like we have no life right now. We basically work. We work our full-time job. When we're not working our full-time job, we're still
stuff.
working.
But it's exciting. I mean,
It
it's
is
like,
exciting. We're young. Like, this is the time if we're gonna work our ass off, if we're
well,
gonna
and if
take
we're
a
gonna
huge
take a
risk.
risk financially before we have
It's-
kids or something,
Sure.
like, this is the best time to do it.
It's
Yeah,
right now.
absolutely.
Where it's
Yeah.
only Charlie that we have to
Yeah.
worry about
Yeah.
feeding,
Exactly.
and he's worried about eating corn on the cob.
Yeah. We
So-
try so hard to give him food without corn, and he
Yeah.
goes and tries to steal the corn from our chickens.
Oh my gosh.
Corn's pretty good.
He loves it. Oh, he eats the cob.
He eats the cob. He doesn't
Oh,
even.
dear.
The chickens polish off the corn.
Yeah, I
and,
throw corn cobs to our chickens.
and they bring it to the edge of their coop, and he always gets it. They bring it to him as like an
It's like an
offering.
offering. It's
Wow.
a peace offering.
It's annoying.
Wow.
So are you guys planning on like serving food and food trucks or anything like that?
We definitely want to have food trucks.
Definitely food trucks to start.
Yeah, we would like to eventually have something that we can serve of our own, but
Yes.
I mean, first things first, we want to get
First
Right.
things first is
the
the
beer on the table.
Right.
And it would be, I mean, I love cooking. I would love if we
Yes.
could offer like some sort of small cuisine.
Eventually, when we know the beer is that operation is running, we will have some sort of commissary kitchen eventually.
We'll try.
But in the meantime, it'll be food trucks and
Yeah.
pre-packaged things that we can sell.
Yeah, but we definitely want to have
But
food
we
trucks
definitely
as much
will
as
have
possible.
some, and we've already been in contact with some of the food trucks, so
Mm-hmm.
we will try to have them at our place as much as possible.
What's your favorite food truck?
Our favorite,
Probably
we're probably like a little
Knack
bit
Attack.
biased. Yeah, because we love Knack Attack, and they catered our wedding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And their food's just so good.
we are biased towards them,
Yeah.
but we also really like Crisp,
Yeah, Chris offers really great
and
food.
Crisp is going to probably be at our brewery, and they were at Barbarian a lot too, and whenever they were there, we would love to eat. Like,
They had really great
they
food.
make really good stuff, so
But yeah, I mean,
we're
I'll have
biased because of
anybody.
our wedding.
Because
but-
we'll eat anything too.
Exactly.
As long as I feel like somebody cared about how they were making it.
Yes.
Maybe sourced responsibly, ideally.
Sure. Yeah.
But if someone's putting like love and craft,
Yes.
I don't care if it's corn dogs.
Exactly.
If you put love into your corn dogs,
Absolutely.
I'll eat it.
Sounds great.
So
Yeah.
I wanna jump back just a little bit because you guys said that beer and school kind of brought you together.
Yeah.
So I guess how did you guys meet?
Yeah, so we
What
kind
was
of
it?
we met through some mutual friends. It was so funny. It was kind of like a going away party that was absolutely not a party.
Yes.
There was I think there was 5 of us total.
Probably.
Wow.
It was not a party, but it just so happened that we were both there.
Yep.
And then I think, or no, I can't remember if I gave you a ride home because you rode your bike
No,
there.
I rode my bike back. I remember.
Yeah, but I remember you were drinking like, you had like a 22 ounce.
It was some
IPA.
sort
Bomber.
of.
Yeah, the bomber.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, right.
Professional. Oh, shit.
Yeah. I kind of thought I knew all there was about craft beer too, because I worked at Old Chicago downtown
Okay.
when I was in school. And even while I was under 21 there, I mean, you had to be educated in beer.
Oh, absolutely.
So before I could even drink it, I was doing like courses online and stuff. They had to teach us like, understanding like the tasting notes, things like that. So I was kind of like big into beer before I could legally drink it. So I was like, oh, look at this guy. He knows what he's doing. He rides
Nice.
a bike. He's got a big beer.
So when you say bike, are you talking motorcycle? Or
No.
bicycle?
No, this was a
Bicycle.
bicycle.
Oh,
This was college years.
college, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody rides a bicycle in college.
Yeah.
right?
And I lived right near where our mutual friend was. So it was like half a mile from my house. And my roommates at the time were like, I don't want to go. And what sucks is they were also good friends with them. I was like, oh, fuck you guys. I'll go at least
Going
and
to
say,
this going away party.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not going to stay long. I'm just going to go drink my double IPA that I got.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ride back home. It's like, what's the harm?
Do you remember what it was?
I almost think it. God, I'm blanking on the name. What's the one with Jimi Hendrix on the?
Ah, yes.
What's the one that Jimi Hendrix
I
on the
can
label?
think of it. It's like yellow and pink.
Yes. Oh,
What
it's like
is
yellow
it?
orange
Is
and
it
it
Space
has
Yeah.
something?
space.
It's not Space Dust.
It's not. Wasn't the Space Dust, but it had like Jim. Oh God,
Yeah,
I wish I could remember.
Exactly.
Was it Elysian?
I think
It might have
was.
been
I think
Elysian.
Dayglow IPA?
I don't remember.
Or was it the Super Fuzz?
Super
might have been the
Fuzz.
Super Fuzz.
Super
I
Fuzz had like a Jimi
That's
Hendrix-ish.
I'm pretty sure it was the Super Fuzz.
Yeah.
Super Fuzz. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was
That's
that
where it
I
all
brought
began.
over.
Yeah.
That was good beer.
That was a good beer.
I did
So I'm
enjoy it.
That
pretty
was back when they didn't sell out, so you know. they
I'm
didn't have
pretty
space.
sure yeah, that had to have been like what 2015.
15 maybe. 14,
Yeah.
15.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a Super Fuzz.
And there was actually a fad where you did Super Fuzz and Space Dust together.
Oh God.
I don't know. I just say it was a fad. I didn't try it.
yeah,
I love a Space Dust, but man,
I
it hit me
know
hard.
But
they do.
They're-
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the Super Fuzz that I brought over to
Yeah.
his house.
Yeah.
And that's what started everything.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
All because of Super Fuzz.
Yeah.
Right?
Super Fuzz and a sushi date.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. So Matt, if you could collab with anybody, who would it be, and what kind of style of beer?
Probably Earth.
So right now it would probably be Earth Bevco. They're
Okay.
not a brewery,
Yeah.
but they make really cool switchels and ginger beers and all sorts of different things like that. And the owner is awesome.
Where's he
And he's actually from Idaho.
Last name?
Eric Herrera.
Eric Herrera.
Yep. He's an awesome guy. He's worked in the brewing industry also for like 10, 12 years. He's worked all over. Most recently, he worked at Payette managing
Okay.
their whole fermentation process. What was the big brewery in...
Ooh, it was a big one in Oregon.
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
It was a huge brewery. I don't remember.
Shoot, now I'm blanking on it. But yeah,
Yeah,
he's worked at a couple different big breweries.
And he makes like comparable to juices.
Yes.
And he uses brewing equipment still for what he makes.
Yep.
Okay.
And he does really great things.
Yep.
With, like,
And we would
natural-
love to do some collaborations for almost like very similar to the beer we just gave you guys. Things where we're juicing things. And we would love to do some sort of like Earthwild collaboration with like Earth Bevco and Idawild and do juices mixed with beer
Yeah. That's cool.
and have their product on tap at our brewery. And if we were gonna do a collaboration, it would definitely be with them first.
So he used to brew beer, and now he's doing. What are you saying? Ginger beer. And
So he
stuff
does
like
like ginger beer and switchels, which are like an apple cider vinegar tonic mixed with fruit juices, and they're non-alcoholic. He went more towards like the healthy side of drinks.
that? Well, you just told us that your sours have probiotics and stuff. That's yeah, I like it. Where is he out of in Idaho?
Yeah.
Right
He's like
near
right
us.
behind where we're
Right
gonna
behind
be.
us. We could throw a rock from
Really?
our brewery. And
So do you know where
hit his
Crooked
space.
Fence is in Garden City?
Yeah.
He's
next
attached to
door.
the same building as
okay.
Crooked Fence.
But yeah, they
fantastic.
distribute throughout the area.
Yeah, you can
but
find
they
them
make
at the
really
co-op
good, and they're
and-
very like mild. They're not like overpowering.
Yeah,
type.
they're really good.
Some apple cider vinegar drinks can be like, oh my gosh,
A
it's
little
like heavy.
overpowering, yeah, and hurt your stomach.
But
Yeah.
he makes really great stuff, and I think that his drinks would blend really well
Mm-hmm.
to either like a hazy IPA or a sour. I think we could do some
Definitely.
really great things with
We
an
could do
IPA.
Awesome collaborations with them.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife likes the apple cider vinegar gummies,
Mm-hmm.
and she swears by them.
There's all sort of health benefits. I don't know them, but I believe them.
Buddy of mine, his elbow hurt, so he had a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and he said
It fixed
it went
everything.
away.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't buy it, but maybe I'm not a believer.
We'll put it in a beer and we'll
Well,
see, man.
Yeah,
Well, right, because one time he did it straight, 1 tablespoon of straight apple cider vinegar, and he just about died. I swear, he just about passed out off of his chair onto the floor. I'm like, holy shit, are you all right?
Strong.
What the hell is in that? I don't know. I'm sure it'd be better in beer. Everything's better in beer.
Everything is
Exactly.
better in beer.
Yes. You guys have told us that you've actually had conversations with Barbarian. What other breweries in town and out of state have you been to and that you like going to?
We'll start with in town. We like Clairvoyant. We really like White Dog. We like Mother Earth.
I don't think there's one that we
like
have been to that we don't love. I just feel like everything, just kind of like with beer styles, it just kind of depends on
Bear
what you're in the
Island.
mood for. Yeah.
Exactly. It's more about like what mood we're in.
Yeah.
To be honest.
But yeah, everyone.
That's what's cool about this area is there's so many choices and everyone has kind of a different feel and style and has their own beers that they
like that one
specialize
time
in.
that we kind of stumbled into Bear Island during the was it Army Navy game?
That was awesome.
Oh my gosh, like you just get like a total atmosphere there, like it was almost like everyone knew each other. It was like, oh my gosh, we're so excited.
And they have such a cool brewery. It's in an old firehouse.
Awesome.
Really cool.
Yeah, they have a really great atmosphere and then Payette, if you're just looking to have like a larger group of people or just want to sit outside.
Yeah, no one has a better like patio section than they do, and yeah, it really depends on what kind of beer style you want to drink that day, what the weather is like.
Yeah,
what
Powder House is nice for like a cooler.
What kind of vibe you want to be in. Like that's what's awesome about this area is you have so many options.
So is it safe to say that you guys have been to every brewery in Boise?
I don't think
Anthony?
every brewery, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, we even like
There's so many though.
We still see more that we're like, oh my gosh, we need to
like
check that out.
we really like Highlands Hollow when it's like winter time and we want to go like have a good dinner and just sit by like their little fire pit thing, like
really cozy.
And they're actually aren't they the oldest brewery here technically?
I think maybe like surviving brewery in Idaho.
Yeah, I think
so.
there's
some in Canyon County we haven't checked out that I would like to.
No, there's a ton we haven't been to, but we've been to a lot of them.
Yeah.
We went to Mother Earth in Tampa, and that was quite the adventure. Like, I don't know if you've been, but it's crazy going back
it is weird. I remember when we were going
it's
there,
like it's a giant.
This is dangerous.
Two different kinds of railroad tracks,
right? And there's a bunch of semi trucks. And you're like, am I at the right place?
Yeah.
Go through
sketchy
barbed wire fence, gated up. What's going on?
Then you're like, oh shit! This is a brewery.
How is this one of the biggest in Idaho?
It's huge.
But it is a really cool.
It's really
place.
cool. Though.
It's really cool.
It is very cool. They have a really cool vibe, and that's
they have a super cool vibe. And you're right in the heart of their brewery.
Like, you can just walk wherever you want to.
Yeah,
it's nuts.
Yeah.
No.
We geeked out on all their equipment. We're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, we had to go to the bathroom. It's like a 10-mile walk.
Yeah.
Right?
All the way back there, and you're passing by all these huge cans.
Giant tanks,
and then all the tanks. I had to stop by. Some were bubbling. It's like,
you got to smell it
nice.
a little bit. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, even if we go out of state, like, I feel like Idaho, like, still ranks up there.
Idaho really ranks up there.
Anytime that we've gone, I mean, we haven't gone to a ton of, like, larger breweries out of state. But I mean, if we're traveling anywhere, we'll try to we'll stop by breweries, or even when we were in Texas, and all the time we're like, man, Idaho stands right there with
and
these guys.
even since I grew up in Southern California, like I have a really good friend who's super into craft beer, and he'll send me all sorts of different beers from California, from like Bottle Logic, the brewery, Brewery X, like all these different big breweries in Anaheim, which is like the heart of craft beer in Southern California. You have like Anaheim, California, and you have like San Diego. He'll send me tons of beers from there, and I'll be like, man, these are awesome, but
nothing like we can't get around.
Southern Idaho stands up to all of these places.
Yeah, for such a small area, I feel like we have like a really mature beer scene.
Yeah, and we've even been to Seattle. We've gone around all the like breweries in Seattle. We've gone around like in Oregon. It's like, man, we really have something here that people is super underrated.
Yeah.
Like our beer scene here is very underrated.
You wait to get like blown away, like somewhere else we're gonna figure out all the beer from around here is no good. But no, I mean Southern Idaho really stand up
like,
to
man,
anywhere we've traveled.
No one gives us credit for the beer scene we have. It's amazing here, and nobody gives us credit for it. We have so many awesome breweries.
Well, you're going to take it over. You're just going to take it.
That's
get
the
us
plan.
on a national level. That's exactly right now. Yeah.
A guy I work with, he is from Salt Lake. And he was talking to his friend, which lives in Portland. And he says, I think Salt Lake's, they're like moving up. We got like 20 breweries now. The guy from Portland says, well, that's pretty cool. We have like 350 now.
Yeah, I can't even imagine like per capita what Portland's like.
Oh my god, I can't imagine at all.
But
I don't think we're there yet. I think we got a long way to go.
Yes,
but
I mean for amount of breweries, probably not, but quality of breweries. we have really high quality of breweries here.
You know what we need here locally? We need that thick, hazy milkshake IPA all the time. That's what we need.
Have you ever had Green Cheek? They're from Southern California.
No.
If you could ever find a Green Cheek hazy, if you're really into hazies,
Are they the ones that made that? Who was that milkshake?
they make the best
Yeah.
hazies. They're from, I'm pretty sure they're from Anaheim, California.
Okay.
Find a Green Cheek hazy.
I actually was in contact with a guy because I have like a couple craft brew people on TikTok, and the guy was like, "Hey, hit me up if you want a beer box," because he lives East Coast. And I'm like, "Oh, dude, give me some Treehouse. Like, if you got Treehouse, dude, I'll send you some beer from here. We can exchange."
Yeah.
So I'm like, dude, that's what I want to try.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't get it; they don't distribute it. So it's like,
and
that's
neither really does Green Cheek. When they put a bottle or a can out, they sell out in hours.
Yeah.
So if you could find somebody who wants to trade you a Green Cheek, double hazy or triple
I'd
hazy,
love to try something like that.
try. If I get my friend to send me some more, I'll
That'd be great.
The Green Cheek hazies they're amazing.
Was it the brewery though that also had really good ones?
The brewery has really good sours. That's where Barbarian's new brewer is from.
Oh.
Yeah, he does really good sours.
He's from the brewery.
Yeah, he's from the brewery.
BRU.
BREU something RY.
It's a play on letters.
It's like exactly.
Okay. So Mark and I we go to Barley Brown's. We've gone 3 or 4 times now together, and the first time we geeked out because we're like, "Hey, can we get a tour?"
Yeah.
So the brewer was back there, and he took us through the whole thing. Oh, so cool.
What do they? Do you remember what they brew on?
They brew on big, huge kettles.
They're
massive.
Because they distribute a lot.
Yeah, do you remember how many barrels they do?
They had 3 massive ones, and I think their systems were. I'll have to check with Mark, but they were pretty big. Like
what did you
50,
say?
They're huge.
50.
They're big.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
But
Payette. I could be wrong. I think Payette's fermenters are like. I think they're like.
I don't know.
I think they're like almost like. They're like over 100 barrels. I'm pretty sure.
Crazy.
What surprised me was
they're massive.
The limited amount that they had there, and how much distribution they do.
Yeah,
because it's like they're all over the Pacific Northwest. Like they're constantly churning.
For sure.
Like it's crazy.
Because like Mother Earth and Payette, and I guess Sockeye as well. They're big time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you go into Payette's brewery, and I'm pretty sure those are like 240 barrel fermenters. They're massive. There's multi-million dollars worth of product when you walk back into their brewery. Mm-hmm. It is massive. Like one fermenter has, not quite, but like 2 fermenters that they have is basically like our entire yearly operation.
Yeah, that makes sense. Off that spark, I can't remember. They're huge though. They're at least 18, 20 feet tall. Like,
and that's where those breweries can't experiment as much.
Right. That's what I was
because
thinking
when
too.
you have a 240 barrel fermenter, it better be filled with something that you know is going to sell.
Yeah.
Or something that you know. This is also where the brewing industry has 2 different paths.
Right.
It has the path of distribution, and it has the path of draft sales.
Mm-hmm.
So draft sales, you can experiment because it's all up to you. You can put whatever you want on draft. Mm-hmm. Distribution is different. Right. So say you get into Albertsons, and they give you shelf space, and they give you shelf space for your pale ale. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean that shelf space can be taken with a sour. Right. Or that shelf space can be taken with a hazy. They only want that shelf space for your pale.
Okay.
They only want this shelf space for your golden. Mm-hmm. You didn't sell them on this shelf space for anything other than that exact beer.
Yeah. Okay.
So you get locked into recreating the same recipes because that's what your distributors have bought. Mm-hmm. And they don't want something new. It's very hard when you're big into distribution to add something new. So some of the times those breweries will have like a little pilot system that they'll be like, all right, let's make this really cool, awesome new beer. We'll just have small batch on our tap room, which essentially is what we will be doing primarily.
Right.
Everything is small batch. Mm-hmm. Everything is in our tap room. So we can do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
In taproom, you lose so much of like the percentage of what you make back on the beer when you distribute. Like if you're making like 80% profit margin in your taproom, you're making like 40% distribution.
Wow. Interesting.
It's a giant drop off. Say I make a double hazy IPA. One keg of that we could sell through the tap room a little over say we make like $1,200 selling that whole keg through the tap room. Mm-hmm. We could only sell that keg for like $200.
Oh wow.
It's a giant drop off from what you could sell through your tap room and what you could sell distribution wise.
Interesting.
Because kegs are going to run anywhere to distributors anywhere from like $125 to $300. That's about the max.
Yeah.
But yet we could make our golden ale would make $800 through our tap room. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. But if you're a giant brewery, you make how you're going to make big amounts of money is making your distribution so large that it overcomes the loss.
Right. Because you're providing them so much beer.
You're providing them everywhere, all around the country.
Yeah.
So it makes up for that loss of income. Because there's a cap on how much you could sell through tap rooms. But there's no cap how much you could sell through distribution. So it's either like, you'll see brewers either go, okay, I want to specialize in-house sales only. That's kind of the barbarian route.
Right, yeah, because they can their own stuff. And
we can our own stuff. Yeah. We basically have our tap room at our brewery, and then we invested in a separate tap room. Uh-huh. And you can only have 2 tap rooms in Idaho.
Really?
You can't have more than 2.
Interesting.
Per manufacturing facility, you can only have 2 tap rooms.
Oh, yeah.
But you can distribute as much as you want. So that's where you see these breweries go as big as they can. But then that locks you into only making 5 or 6 beers.
Interesting.
See, if you make your own beer, you actually start making money.
Sure.
Eventually. If you take it to the extreme, to where you start a brewery, you start making money.
And
eventually.
Hopefully.
I had a conversation with some people at work, like, because they know that I homebrew. Mm-hmm. And they say, so is it really cheaper than actual brewing? It's like, well, I like to brew the IPAs, so a lot of the money is just in the hops that you have to buy.
Yes, the hops are very expensive.
So, it's like, okay, I spend about, I don't know, the last time I did it was probably $80. So it's like, okay, does that really save me that much? I mean, right now I'm buying 4-pack of 16 ounces for $20. Mm-hmm. So it's like, wow, it's starting to get pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can get expensive.
It can get very, especially with fruit and hops.
Yeah.
Fruit and hops are where you're going to spend all your money.
But then also buying beers with those things. Like, remember when we were in our craft beer phase, we would go across the street to Brewers Haven. Mm-hmm. And then we were in, like, a very fancy, like, Cascade.
Yes, we would do a lot of Cascade sours.
Which you're paying, like, $28 and you're getting a 22-ounce bottle, Like,
yeah.
Or you're paying, like, wine prices.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
What were the ABVs on that?
Oh, they were probably...
They were high.
Obviously less than 16, I would think.
They were probably around 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10%. Okay.
So it's not uncommon to get, like, Rusty Nail or something like that for, like, $25.
Right.
A bottle. Yeah, that is a very expensive habit.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. We were definitely paying a lot of money for beer at one point. But yeah, I mean, for the most part...
Yeah, for the most part, we haven't bought...
We don't buy a lot of beer.
Unless we go to a brewery and get a draft beer. Mm-hmm. We don't really buy beer.
Right, yeah, aside from getting draft.
Just because, I mean, the last couple of years I've been brewing so heavy. Mm-hmm. So it's like, man, we always have beer. We always have too much beer.
Yeah, we do drink a lot of beer.
I'm giving beer away to people all the time.
How often do you brew a batch?
Well, right now I haven't brewed in the last 3 weeks or so, but for the most part it was like every 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, I would say 1 or 2 times a month at least.
Yeah.
Wow.
For the last couple of years.
I want to get on that.
That's cool. That's cool.
I want to get there.
We were brewing at least and sometimes it was like every now and then I would go like 3 batches times in a row.
Yeah.
Like week after week after week.
Especially when you were working like on our wedding. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't even know the amount of brews I've done in the last couple of years. It's in the hundreds.
Tom, how many brews have you done in the last year?
That'd be 0. 0. Yeah.
But we have a brewery in our house.
Yeah.
Yeah, how could you...
They already have it all set up.
It's literally set up.
It's a challenge for me because I got to go out to the garage,
right,
get it all set up.
I go in... So
we have a room in our house.
We have a room that literally is a brewery.
See? That's...
I'm not allowed.
You got a room here.
It's also a home office.
Yeah.
I bought a house and made a brewery.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. I wish I could be there, but
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not allowed.
Okay, so Matt, what are your flagship beers going to be?
Man, that's kind of hard to answer because...
Well, so we at least know bases, and so we
Yes,
definitely know
basics.
we want a...
We definitely...
really
Our golden ale will be a flagship.
He's got a great stout recipe that we just kind of alter a bit.
We alter a bit to make seasonal if we want to, but I've got an awesome oatmeal stout that will probably be a flagship.
We definitely want like a standard hazy.
Yes, there will be a standard hazy on tap, a standard West Coast. But other than that, like, we're going to be a very seasonal brewery.
Okay.
Like, we might have only a few flagships that are on tap like year
Yeah, because we want to be
round.
somewhere where if you have a general favorite, that you'll kind of know what to expect.
Exactly.
But we
You'll
also
come around and have that
don't.
beer in the season that it makes sense for.
Right. But yeah. But also we're going to be a place where it's not always like you know what you're going to get before you get there.
Exactly.
Like it might be a place where you're like, oh, let's go to Idawild. I don't know what I want to order yet.
Yes.
Because some places you go and you know what's going to be on the menu because it's what's always on the menu.
Yes.
And you like it. That's great. You want that. And you know what you're going to get before you get there. That can be a good thing. But then we also we want to be a place where you're like, I don't know what I'm going to get.
Exactly.
Try
I want to
something
see
a
what they
little
have.
different today.
100%.
And yeah, we want to have the favorites that you can expect all the time. And we will have flagships, like we said. Like, we'll always have a sour.
Yep.
We'll always have some variation of our stout. We'll always have, at least, if not a regular standard hazy. And the blonde always. Something always light and easy drinking.
Yes. We'll always
but we also
we'll always
wanna
kind of
have-
fill all the gaps at least.
Yeah, we want to have something for everybody. But then we also want it to be like, well, I don't know. What else could there
Exactly.
be?
And that's
I
where
wanna
it's
see.
even talking with other brewers, it's kind of like you either get into the realm of like everyone wants the same beers all the time, or if you're the kind of brewery that puts out new beers all the time, they come in and you don't have a new beer, they're
Right.
they're
They're
mad.
disappointed,
They're
And
pissed
like,
off.
what?
They're
Yeah.
like,
This is what you,
you
had
don't
2
have a
weeks
new
ago.
beer. Yeah. So it's either way, there's a trade-off. So it's like just my brewing style. I like experimenting. So we're going to be very geared towards let's go there because we went there 2 weeks ago. Let's go there now and see what else they have on tap.
So it sounds like you're going to hit both sides of the market.
That's what we
really.
want
A
to try
little
to
bit.
do.
Right?
We're
That's
going
what
to
you're trying
try. We're trying to find the balance
Right.
of having some flagships and having a lot of experimentation
Right.
to where it's very seasonal and come in, see what we have on tap. Most likely it's going to be a brand new beer that you've never tried before.
So what about the stout that's going to make you differentiate yourself from everybody else? Because to me, and Mark probably feels the same way, like every time I drink a stout, it's always the same. Coffee,
That makes sense.
chocolate, like it's just basic. Like that's all I ever taste in a stout.
Yes.
So like
Stouts are tough.
Stouts are
A base stout is so robust, it has a lot of flavor.
right.
So I have a really good base oatmeal stout that I've created. That's really good, easy drinking, 5% stout.
Okay.
And you hit the roastiness.
It's roasty, but not overly roasty where you don't get a little bit of the sweetness. And it's like the base kettle sour recipe that I created. It's very versatile.
Okay.
Like I just turned that base oatmeal stout recipe into a s'more stout. And I added graham cracker into the mash. And I added Marshmallow.
S'mores.
Yeah, marshmallow.
Makes sense.
But I can't, not just marshmallow, like marshmallow fluff.
Yeah.
The marshmallow fluff into
Cinnamon.
the end of the boil. And yeah, we added cinnamon and a little bit of vanilla into the fermenter. It's so roasty that it actually balances out a lot of that sweetness.
Yeah, and I think it adds that little something, because I know what you mean. Because sometimes when you see a
Stouts
stout,
all
like I like a
taste the
stout,
same.
but if you just see stout on the menu, you're like,
I know what
it's
it's going to
boring.
taste like.
Why would I
Right.
want to order that?
Yeah.
Because that seems like a waste of my money. Like, that's not going to be interesting. But I feel like this one, maybe I'm biased, but I don't
Probably
know. I
are a
really
little
like
bit,
it.
but
Yeah. Because it's my husband making it, but I just feel like it has like a little bit something special to it that I don't feel quite like bored drinking it.
And that's where we didn't add chocolate because I use so much chocolate malt that you get so much of the dark chocolate bitter flavor already.
And you get
Just
coffee roastiness
using-
without really adding coffee.
Exactly. So like I don't think you really have to add coffee to a stout.
Unless
like,
you want, unless that's its purpose.
You can use malt though. Like there's a ton of malts that you can use
Sure.
to add that bitter coffee flavor. You can add the chocolate flavor. Like the things that if I was going to add something to a stout, it's something that you can't get from the malt.
Right.
Like graham cracker or marshmallow or cinnamon. Like you're adding things that you can't get just from straight malt. Because you can change a stout around by the malts. Like you can make a coffee stout with no coffee. You can make a milk stout just by adding lactose. You can make an oatmeal stout by adding more flaked oats. Like
Okay.
you can change it around a little bit, but like you can really like with a stout I feel like you either go almost desserty or you go more kind of coffee-ish or you can go like I'm gonna put this in a bourbon barrel.
And the worst I think you can do
Yeah,
is
that
either
makes sense.
boring or sometimes they get syrupy. And so you have those two sides of the spectrum that you want to avoid. Because I don't like when I drink a stout that feels like syrup. It's like, oh, that's so heavy. Like it's tastes like, it's like so
Tastes like
sweet.
it tastes like syrup.
Drinking a pancake, and that's not what I want.
Yeah.
And so I kind of feel like hitting that sweet spot in between.
It's kind of like the Fort George one we tried a couple weeks ago with the dark beer episode.
Yep.
Oh yeah, how was that?
It wasn't my
Heavy.
favorite, but I mean, your brother loved
Yeah.
it. I mean, we had his brother on, and
Yeah, we had to bring in my brother because he loves the dark beers.
loves the dark beers.
And we ended up getting the Fort George Matryoshka, and then it was a Russian Imperial, and then he had a whole bunch of dark beers after that. I don't even remember the names, but they were very expensive and very dark,
Right.
and very high in percentage. And I
Yes,
don't know
they
if he
were.
remembers the whole episode.
He might not have. I don't
Probably
know.
not.
Because, I mean, when we were at
Those
the
are
Growler
heavy.
guys, he was like, is a Growler enough of that?
Right.
I'm like, dude,
Dude, Growlers.
64 ounce Growler
Right.
of a stout? You kidding me?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a lot of a stout.
it is. So how many taps are you guys gonna have?
So we have 19 at our disposal.
Are you gonna use all 19?
Eventually.
Maybe.
Eventually.
Yeah.
How many you can start
Eventually.
out with?
When we open up the doors to the public, I guess is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
So when we open the doors to the public, we'll probably have 4 or 5.
Grand opening, we'd like to have.
Grand opening. So soft opening, think about 4.
Okay.
Grand opening, about 8 to 10.
Okay.
And grand opening just means we're going to throw like a party.
Right.
So what is the time frame between soft opening and grand opening?
I think it depends on our beer production.
It really depends on when we can get producing.
And then also like kind of getting our feet under us, and I think
Soft
that's kind of the purpose of
open
like having
of that
the soft
open
opening.
is you can figure out all the kinks. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're going to be using a square system for the first time, like for our point of sale. And so we kind of just want to make sure
We have all
we
that
know
down.
what the heck we're doing before we
Yes,
open.
exactly.
Before we say everybody
Until
everybody
we-
come in.
Right.
Until
in case
we
we're like, okay, now everybody wait because we don't know what we're doing.
Right.
exactly.
You know, we kind of just first we want to say because we have a lot of people who are like excited to come
We
and
have
they're like,
tons of friends and family who are like,
Yeah.
when the hell
Yeah,
can
so
we?
we want to open when we can, but
Right.
we also want to have a good array of beers at least for where we can
Yes.
fit everybody's
Right.
whatever everybody wants,
Mm-hmm.
and then have the big party once we have our feet under it, have our sea legs.
Yeah, so if we were to put a timeline, I would say sometime early May is going to be a soft open. Sometime maybe mid to late June might be a grand open.
Okay.
Yeah, it just kind of depends on.
It really, like, it's hard to, like, I've just learned that there's so many things that are going to come up. It's hard to give people an exact date.
Right.
But there's some sort of range I can give you. It's going to be some sort of May soft open, some sort of June grand open.
Yeah, you can never give exact dates because
Yeah, exactly.
never pans out.
No,
Yeah.
it'll never work out that
Yeah.
way.
Have you
So
been
many
writing
things.
your recipes out for the larger scale equipment and that kind of stuff? You kind of understand like what you're buying. And...
I use Brewsmith for the most part for all my recipe creation.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've done basically all the recipes at least for the first like quarter of brewing.
Okay.
Of what it's going to cost per recipe and exactly what I need to order per recipe, essentially.
Okay.
On the bigger scale.
Yeah. So, are you going to offer like that 8.5% hazy double IPA?
That's one of our.
Because I really want to try that one. I was really hoping you'd bring some of that.
I know. Okay. I wish I did.
Drank it all.
Yeah.
We drank it all.
I'm sure it was great.
It was not on purpose.
No, I'm sure.
We
We
drank it all.
damn, this shit's really good.
We drank it all and gave it all away.
And you get less. You yield a little bit less product.
Yep.
With those.
From there was a giant dry hop, so you lose a little bit of product from the hops actually
but it was really great.
soaking up actually a lot of the beer. So you do lose a lot of product in a huge dry hop.
We went through it fairly fast.
We went through it pretty fast, but we also drank a ton of it, and I gave a ton of it away. But it was one of our best beers. It was really
It
good.
looks.
It did. So that kind of brings up another question: is how much beer do you consume on an average workday?
So here's the thing: we drink beer nearly every day, but so what we drink out of is like
I drink
flight
mostly.
glasses.
I drink out of like 4 or 5 ounce glasses.
Okay.
So it makes me feel like I drink a lot, but I'm not actually drinking a lot because we do it on tap. So like I'll have like 1 or 2 taster glasses every
Okay.
night.
Yep.
So you probably have like what maybe equals a beer a day.
Maybe a half a beer or a beer.
And then on the weekends we'll have a bit more.
And then on the weekends I'll have like a full pour of a beer. But for the most part, like
Well, and then we'll go get a drink somewhere.
yes.
And then we,
I'm a big fan of taster glasses.
because we drink a lot out of small glasses.
I don't know why, but I just love, and I don't know if it's just because I'm so used to using like tiny little glasses to like sample things during the brewing process, but there's just something in my head is like instead of grabbing a big glass, I'll have 4 little taster glasses instead of 1 big glass.
Sure. Are you going to offer tasting like a variety type of thing?
Yeah, we made some flight boards.
Yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
I made a bunch of really cool flight boards.
Nice.
Well, we think they're really cool.
I think they're really cool because I made
that
them.
you guys are going to drink all the profits.
I don't think
We'll
it's
just have
possible.
to wait and see, huh? Hopefully our
She might.
profits are too big.
Right?
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
Ideally.
Are you guys planning to enter any competitions down the road or beer festivals or anything like that? Events?
We don't have any immediate plans, but it's not something that I'm against.
Right.
I would love to join some sort of competition.
Yeah,
or
I think it would be fun.
It'd be
I think
super
it just kind of depends on the specs and what we're brewing because, some of the competitions are more like very traditional and based, on very traditional rules.
Yeah. But like I'd
which
be
is
super
cool.
but there are sour categories and kettle sour categories and there's hazy there's a couple of our recipes I'd be super comfortable
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think
entering into
so.
a
I think
competition, 'cause
there's
they're very category specific and meet all those guidelines.
Yeah, I guess when I think of beer competition, I always think of like very traditional styles and how they're judging off of like the very strict, which is not something
Style
we couldn't do.
guidelines.
It's just something we don't do often with our beer types.
Yeah.
When you guys open, are you going to stick with just keg sales, or are you going to start canning or bottling or anything like that, or is that just
We will
too far down the
be
road?
mostly in-house draft sales. We'll do small batch distribution, hopefully trying to sell some kegs to restaurants and bars around town
Just
to-
through self-distribution.
to get our name out. And we will do to-go crowlers at our
Okay.
brewery.
Nice.
Very good.
But you will not see us in like Albertsons or anything right away.
Not for a while. And I mean, we would like to use some of like the mobile canning type things, just to have some like 6-packs at least to go from our tap room. But just because our system's so small, a lot of those don't really accommodate.
Yes, they have minimum amounts for canning, and it's just we're on such a small scale.
So it's something we want to do.
It makes the most sense for us to take advantage of being so small. And do things that are out there that bigger breweries can't do because it would be such a risk. On our scale, we can do things like the coconut, carrot, ginger, sour, to where a bigger brewery can't really experiment.
Or things that bigger breweries wouldn't do because they're more expensive. So like our fruited hazies.
They're more expensive, and they have distribution channels that don't want beers that they haven't made before. So we can take advantage of being a small brewery and sell in-house and keep our profit margins high.
It almost seems like some of these small breweries that come into Boise don't stay small for very long. I'm just saying. I mean,
it's true.
You look at Sockeye got huge, Payette, Western Collective, Clairvoyant. I mean, they really got big pretty quick.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just kind of seeing where it takes us because, we want to stay true to what we like to do. But also, I mean, we want to expand if we can. But we also don't want to, in our minds, sell out to the point to where we're only making 3 beer styles.
Exactly.
If they're not the ones that we
It's a right balance to find where you're not flatlining on your ability to grow your business. I don't plan to be a brewery where our main stream of income is distribution. I really like in-house sales because in-house sales, we can sell what people want, what people are going to come into our brewery and actually buy. Problem with distribution is you're at the behest of what that distributor or what that, say it's Albertsons or say it's some sort of big store that you get a shelf space on. They want that exact same beer every time.
Yeah, and maybe they only know what's selling based on what's on their shelves.
Exactly.
They might not know what people in this area want.
It's kind of like Fred Meyer, like the one by my house. Like they used to carry like the Mother Earth rotational hazies. Now they don't anymore, and it's like, what the hell, man?
Just big breweries or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of distribution where you get locked into, we're going to put your pale on. Oh, no. We don't want your fruited hazy. We want your pale. You have to make us that every time.
Well, and this is cheaper, so this is what we want.
And it's
cheaper. We're not going to pay that much for this keg.
Exactly.
But it's this much because we're adding more hops to it, or we're adding,
Yes. So we don't want to be beholden to our distribution. We want to stay small enough that we can do the kind of beers that we want to drink.
Still be experimental. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the right balance to find, is growing without outgrowing your ability to experiment.
I think we're pretty much at the end.
We're wrapping it up here.
I guess I will say thank you guys for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
You said you got the keys 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So is the scruff on your face 2 days old? You're trying to get the brewer beard going?
True.
Because I have not seen a clean-shaven brewer.
I think it's because they're so busy.
So that must be...
They're cutting corners, saving time. Yeah.
He's shaving it for him in his sleep.
Right.
So, definitely thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys coming and entertaining us and answering all of our questions and making me really dumb about my home brew.
Mine too, though.
Realizing what an idiot I have been. And I need to start paying attention to some of those smaller details that I haven't been paying attention to. Yes, thank you guys. I want to let our listeners know that, hey, like you said, you guys are going to do a soft opening May-ish.
Yep.
And grand opening June.
Yep. Safe to say.
I'll tell you, I will definitely be there.
Awesome.
Yes. I love it. It's fantastic. I really do love it. Thank you, guys.
Okay, you can email us any questions or requests to mtcans2022@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Instagram or Facebook at #MT_cans.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and as always, we do end this podcast with a celebrity beer quote.
Quote, yes.
Awesome. So, Matt or Courtney, I do have the quote.
She's a little better at reading. I'll let her read it.
So, if you would like to read that beer quote for us, I'd appreciate it.
This is from Sir Benjamin Franklin. Beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy.
Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you.
He does want us to be happy.
Absolutely.
All righty. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.